pretend if you're kind. Push me down, but I won't stay low, 'cause every hit just helps me grow.
Hey folks, welcome to the pilot episode of the Anglers Footprint. This is a podcast that I've been working on some ideas for a while, and I'm really excited to be able to get to launch it today. Now, today's episode is going to be focused around springtime smallmouth fishing. Now, whether that is, whether you're fishing river systems, lakes, reservoirs, the things that we'll talk about today, you can kind of put to use on any body of water. We're going to talk a little bit about the tackle we use primarily during this period. We're going to talk about the rods and reels we like to use those techniques. And then we'll dive into some footage, and I'll show you some stuff from last year out fishing the Columbia River. So, you know, in the spring, March, April, you can target smallmouth a bunch of different ways, right? You can go out deep, target them on rock piles, ledges, shelves. You can catch them shallow when they start moving into feed up for the spawn. So there's lots of different ways you can do it, lots of different depths of the water that you can target them at. Today we're primarily going to focus on like the 2 to 10 foot range. So some of the footage I'll show you today will kind of focus on, it's early April, and so they're starting to move in and stage up to prepare for the spawn. This time of year, especially you know, the area that I'll show you from some of the footages in Washington State, very similar across the country. In the early spring, they'll start moving in to some of those spawning bays to feed up in preparation for the spawn. And oftentimes you'll catch them on those first points or the secondary points that lead into some of those spawning coves, right? And that's kind of what we're targeting today. So I guess the best way to really start is maybe we just show you some footage. So in this first clip that you're seeing here, I am a couple hundred yards outside the mouth of one of the main spawning bays on this particular pool. So I'm in the Priest Rapids pool of the Columbia River, and I'm targeting kind of that 0 to 10 foot depth, right? So way up shallow in the back of the pocket, all the way out to the edge where they start moving up. A lot of the fish that I caught this particular day were caught off just like the spot where it hits about 6 to 7 feet deep and then goes down deeper out into the river. And they're kind of staged up, just hanging out on that little ledge there. They kind of move up and down and up and down. And in this particular clip, I'm targeting them with jerk baits. The jerk bait that I'm using here is a Guggen Squad Scout. It's in a perch pattern. And you know, when you're fishing jerk baits, especially when the water's colder, cadence is everything. So you think about how fast you're gonna rip that. And in the spring, I generally will give it, and you saw it there in the video, a couple of rips, I'll pause it, a couple of rips, and I'll pause it. And I'll do that over and over again for, you know, 8 to 10 casts. Now, if that cadence isn't working, I'll try a different one. Maybe I'll rip it 1 time, give it a pause for a couple of seconds, 3 times, give it a pause for a couple of seconds. Maybe I'll even get real aggressive with it and just rip, 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 and just keep doing it until I figure out exactly what cadence they want. And with smallmouth fishing, with jerkbait fishing, cadence is everything. Generally speaking, the slower the water, the slower the cadence. The warmer the water, the faster the cadence. It's not always the case. I have found some really aggressive fish in 40 feet of water or 40-degree water that want it really fast, and completely vice versa. In 70, 75, 80-degree water, and they want it really slow. You just got to figure out what the fish want that day, and then just see if you can repeat that over and over and over again. Now, there are a couple of different jerkbaits that are my favorite. So I've got, I don't even know, I've got hundreds of jerkbaits. And I always seem to go back to the same three main, like my bread and butter jerkbaits, right? So the first one, this is a KVD 200. It's kind of a purple back. You've got a chartreuse belly. It's about 4.5 inch. This is a suspending one. I can get this down, 7, 8, 9, even 10 feet sometimes, depending on the line diameter. Kind of an opaque body. The smallmouth just really love that purple hue. Just something they've always keyed on. And then it's got that really bright chartreuse belly just to give it a little extra vision. And what I'll tell you is jerkbait fishing is so dependent on water clarity, and I prefer a little bit of wind. Not like blowing 20, but a nice ripple on the water breaks that up a little bit. But smallmouth are super visual feeders, and so they've got to be able to see it. And the clearer the water for me, the better. They do have some jerkbaits out there that provide a little bit more flash that can help when the water gets a little bit cloudy. But really, like, you're going to do your damage with some clearer water. But that Strike King KVD 200, it's got a great sound. Absolutely destroys them. I catch a lot more largemouth on this than I do smallmouth for some reason, but I've caught some absolute hammers on smallmouth. Now, like them or not, the Guggen Squad makes some pretty damn good tackle. This one is the Guggen Squad Scout. So when I'm looking for something that's maybe a little bit slimmer, a little bit more low profile, that matches the size and the fish that they're eating, is when I'll turn to this Guggen Squad Scout. This is in a perch, and like you can see, you may not be able to see it in the video, but this thing has just been absolutely chewed on. Again, gets down there to about 7 feet, suspends really nice, has incredible action, and they just chow on this one. But when I'm talking about jerkbaits, most anybody that knows me knows the first one that I will grab is the Rick Clunn RCSTX. Now, this particular color is French Pearl. It is the old version before Lucky Strike got bought out. I don't know how the new ones are, but I've heard they don't swim quite right. There's just something about the old school RCSTX that sets it apart from any other jerkbait that I've fished. There's a couple of models, one that dives about 4 feet, and then there's a suspending one that dives about 8. But this one, they hammer it. By far, my #1 go-to when it comes to jerkbaits. So those are 3. There's a million out there. Arc makes a really nice one. I really like the Arc jerkbait. Gosh, I've got tackle hiding up here all over the place, even a bunch of new and packaged RCSTXs. But when you look at, where is that? I don't know where the Cobb one went, but, oh, there it is. The 3DB Yozuri, the Jerkbait 110, Cobb approved. I'll grab it for you here. Pull it out of the package. Maybe I'll edit the unboxing out, but this jerkbait is another really, really good jerkbait. I love the color. It's got the weight transfer system, so it casts a mile. It's got a kind of a blue back, opaque body. Absolutely killer jerkbait as well. And then I guess if I was to say my fifth favorite, the 6 cents jerkbait, absolutely ridiculously good. And I'm looking forward to throwing that a bunch more this year. So like I was talking about, when you're kind of targeting those smallmouth early in the year, again, I'm ripping a jerkbait here, right? So a couple of twitches, pause, a twitch, pause, couple of twitches, pause, and I'll kind of change it up. And like I said, once you find that cadence, just repeat that over and over and over again. Generally speaking, when they stop hitting the jerkbait, I will, I'll throw like a square bill. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But I'll throw a square bill and just give them something a little bit different to look at. This one was another pretty good one. I think it was about 3 pounds. I'll tell you, this was probably one of the most incredible days that I've had. Probably caught 30, 33 fish that day. I was out there for about 6 hours. Caught a few dinks. You're going to have a few of those. But for the most part, early in the year, they are fat, angry, and it was just literally one of the most fun days that I've had. Not the biggest, but still a pretty darn good one. Now, as far as gear goes, this is my rod of choice. It is no secret that I believe the Alpha Angler rods are hands down the best rods I have ever used in my life. This particular one is the Alpha Angler Slasher. It is a 610 medium fast. Sometimes I forget like the strength and action, blah blah, but 610 medium fast. This is that arc jerkbait I was telling you about, and this is rigged up with a speed spool, lures, and then from a line perspective, most of the time you won't see me throw jerkbaits on anything heavier than 10-pound fluorocarbon. Once in a while I'll go to 12, but for the most part, 10-pound is my sweet spot. I think you can get the best depth, the best action in that line class. But just an absolutely incredible rod. They are not cheap. I will not lie to you. They're over a $200 rod. I picked mine up gently used at a massive discount, but they're not a sponsor, no partner, nothing like that. But I would tell you, if you can, and you can buy one rod, this would probably be it. Just an absolute incredible jerkbait rod. Now, I own probably 40 or 50 rods, but you'll see this in my hand more than anything else because I believe in it, and it just flat catches them. Once they're pinned, you just don't lose them. Now, depending on where you're at in the country and where you're fishing, bottom construction, water temps, they'll kind of be different everywhere. But like I was telling you before, some of the things that you'll see in some of these clips that I'm doing will transition across the country just fine, especially when it comes to these kind of techniques we're going to talk about today, jerkbait, square bills. You can do that just about anywhere. This is another absolute tub, barely hooked. But again, like once they're pinned with this rod, I'm telling you, they just stay on. And I had one little hook in his mouth. Again, it's probably another, 3.5 pounder. I can't remember what this one weighed. Maybe 3. But They just dig it. They love it. This is a case too, when you're out on the water, to kind of pay attention to. So you can see that he had just that one hook. That told me that I was probably fishing the jerkbait a little bit too fast. They were just getting the back end of it. So I'm going to slow my retrieve down a little bit to see if they'll eat it just a little bit better. So just keep that in mind when you're out there on the water. Now, another really great way to catch them in the spring are flat side square bills. When you think about, fishing for bass in cold water, you're trying to match what their prey fish are doing, right? And with the water being cold, you don't have prey fish generally just swimming all over the place, acting all nuts, all this energy. It's cold, their metabolisms are slower, they're swimming slower, and so trying to match how that works or how they swim can be crucial. And that's where a flat side crankbait comes in really well. Tight wobble, small package, matches more of what the natural fish are seeing. And don't fall for the myth, I call it a myth, don't fall for the myth that your crankbait has to bang bottom to get bit. It doesn't. There are instances where maybe it does, but they don't always have to be down there scraping the bottom in order to get bit. A couple of the crankbaits that I use during this time of year, my two favorites are the Berkley Fritz side, so I'll show you a couple of those. Can't remember what the color of these are, but they are the traditional early year red, right? So a couple of different red craw patterns. This is the flat, the Fritz side 5. They also make a Fritz side 7 if you need to get down just a little bit deeper. And these ones are just worn out. They've got bite marks all over them. They have been part of some 60 plus smallmouth days early in the year out in the Columbia. Just an incredible, real slim. They've got kind of a coffin shaped bill. Deflects off the rocks really nicely. Absolute killers. This is another flat 5 in kind of a matte craw finish, so not real shiny. But if you're fishing a little bit shallower water, or some of these road beds and stuff that I fish, this can be an absolute killer as well. But my all-time favorite is the Lucky Strike Shallow Smoothie. This one is called Chili Bowl. There's also like a red craw pattern. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit meatier, so a little thicker, little tiny bill on it, but it's got an incredibly tight wobble. Smallmouth, largemouth alike love this crankbait, and you absolutely can smash them on this crankbait during the early spring. I catch them on it all year round, but it really shines during the spring. Now in this one, I'm throwing that shallow smoothie up to probably 3 or 4 feet, and just cranking it back to the boat. Nice, steady, even retrieve. And what was happening quite a bit was they would follow it, and then hit it right at the boat. And so, like when you're thinking about when you're thinking about crankbait fishing, don't give up on a cast just because you feel like you're getting too close to the boat. Especially during this time of year, a lot of them will just follow it. And as it starts making that climb up, they suddenly think they're escaping, and they'll grab it real quick and not let it get away. And this thing was an absolute pig. I think it was 4 pounds 9 ounces. somewhere around there. But they just had that shallow smoothie just all the way in their mouth, sideways. They couldn't eat it hard enough. Now the rod I use for square bills is another Alpha Angler rod. This is the Alpha Angler Rebound. Absolutely incredible crankbait rod, but super versatile. So I'll throw crankbaits, not a lot of the real deep diving ones, but up to about 10 feet is what I'm pretty comfortable throwing on this. But it's also an incredible spinnerbait rod, an incredible chatterbait rod. I use it for bigger Nico rigs, so when I throw a Magnum Baits Cinco Nico rigged, I will throw it on this. Another fantastic rod. It is 7 foot, even, medium heavy, moderate fast. Again, just another incredible rod. These are right around that $250, $260 mark. The one before and this one are the only two Alphas I own because they are expensive, but they're just incredible. They use Fuji guides. Just an incredibly remarkable rod. Super light, and when you're out there making those casts over and over and over and over again, you want something that's not going to wear you out, and this is that animal. Again, with my square bills, I pair it up with between 10 to 12 pound fluorocarbon. Sometimes I'll go a little bit heavier, but pretty much I live in that 10 to 12 pound range. This is a Shimano SLX, the 150 series. Really like that reel. Probably one of my favorite reels. Good gear ratio, matches the rod well. Just an incredible combination for throwing square bills. Now in this clip it's much the same. What I'm doing is you can kind of see the mouth of the creek there, or the spawning bay there. It gets really shallow at the beginning of that mouth, so I'm throwing as far up there as I can. It's about 2.5 feet deep, and I'm just smashing this crankbait along the bottom, just reeling again at a nice, slow, steady pace. And this is another case where right about when it got to the boat, they hit it. This is another pig, another, I think, 4+ pounder. Had the thing sideways in its mouth. They just don't do what I'm doing right here. Don't grab the line like that. It's a great way to lose fish. Use your net. I have a net right there. I don't know why I'm not using it. Yeah, I think this was about 3.5 pounds, but another great fish. So let's talk about another way to catch them. So I don't know if you've ever heard of bottom strolling, but it's basically where you take a jig head and a minnow-bodied soft plastic, throw it out, bring it real slow across the bottom. And that's what I'm doing here. I'll show you what I'm using here in a minute, but I generally will throw it on like a VMC Moon Eye jig head, and I'll use either a Mega Bass Spark Shad or some smaller paddle tail style plastic, and I'll just make as long of a cast as I can. You let it sink all the way down to the bottom, and you'll reel that back to the boat real slow, and just kind of ticking along the bottom, bouncing off the rocks, and doing its thing. Now this one wasn't a giant one, but it wasn't a bad fish either. And it's a great way to not just catch numbers, but you can absolutely hammer some giants. And so one of the, like I was saying, this is a, I think it's a 1/4 ounce VMC Moon Eye. I like that yellow color. I think for some reason it just stands out and does the best. And I will pair it up with either the Mega Bass Spark Shad. This one has been absolutely the best with this technique for me. It's just a little 3-inch minnow, little paddle tail. I'll dip the tail in that dip and dye, that chartreuse color, just the tail, just to give it a little extra. But you can also throw it on you know, your traditional early season red paddle tails. This is a Guggen Squad Saucy Swimmer. A bunch of different ones make it. This is a 3-inch version. But again, just lacing that up the jig head and tossing it out as far as you can. Let it sink down. Reel it real slow back towards the boat. Now, a lot of times out on the river, there's a ton of current, and you may need to go a little bit heavier. So if I do, I'll go all the way up to a 1/2 ounce in that Moon Eye jig, and allow it to get down to the bottom a little bit quicker, so it doesn't get swept down in the current. And then my other fallback is the Cabela's Mean Eye. Very, very similar, just the eyes are a little bit different. It's got a nice little worm keeper on the back, so it holds those plastics up well. But those are the 3 heads and the 2 bodies that I like the most. Now in this one, very much the same thing. Casting it out, taking it along the bottom real slow, and they just come up and suck it right up off the bottom. Now, this can be a little bit of a weird bite. Sometimes they don't always bite it, like very, very often. It's just a tick is all you feel, or a little bit of weight. They don't like hammer it and run. Just a little bit of weight you'll feel, or a little tick. So having a sensitive rod is pretty important. The one that I throw this on the most is a Guggen Squad Green Series reaction rod. Kind of a spinnerbait, chatterbait, square bill, kind of a, just as the name says, it's a reaction rod, so throwing reaction style baits. But it does really, really good with that bottom sterling technique. Now you can use a spinning rod too if you want. I just don't. About the only time you'll catch me with a spinning rod is if I have to drop shot. Maybe I'm throwing a weightless fluke, lighter Nico rig, lighter wacky rig, Ned rigs, stuff like that, the more finessey stuff. But for the most part, I will throw that on a bait caster all day long. Now, another technique that's not talked about as much, but is incredibly productive, is an Okashira head. So this isn't the monster bass or the mega bass version of the Okashira head. This is somebody else made it, a buddy of mine. I've got it in a couple different weights, 1/4 ounce and a 1/2 ounce, depending on the depth. But it's basically just a ball head jig. It's got a 45-degree line tie and then a little propeller. I'll rig it up with the same type of soft plastic, little paddle tail, bigger version of the spark shad. And I'll use this technique when they're not right on the bottom, or maybe I'm not catching them right on the bottom. I can cast this Okashira head out, let it sink down to kind of the depth that I want it at, and slowly reel it back. It creates a really nice vibration. The paddle tail gives it some really good tight action, and depending on the time of year, absolutely kills it. Now I've caught a bunch of them here, a bunch of largemouth here using it in the summertime, and it's a technique you can use all year round. It's not just relegated to the spring. But if you look at this clip, you can see I'm kind of looking out at live scope out in front of me. I can see some fish out there, but I couldn't give them the bite. So I was thinking maybe I pull something up off the bottom just a little bit. And I think it was my first or second cast with it, and I caught this one. Now this is a little bit of a surprise catch, if I remember right. It wasn't a big smallmouth. I thought it was a walleye. It wasn't. It was a big old pike minnow. Now you're supposed to bonk them and toss them. I couldn't do it. I just can't do it. So I let him go back in the water. Don't hate me. But they are fun to catch. They don't fight really hard for really long, but for the first few minutes they can give you hell. But that Okashira head can be an absolute killer throughout the year. Got a couple more clips for you just to wind it out. These are both on a jerkbait. These were two of my bigger fish of this particular trip. Two fish over 5 pounds, broke my PB twice. Up until this point, I had never caught a 5-pounder, 5-pound smallmouth. But I caught a 5-pounder and a 5-pound 2-ounce. And this is a really good representation of how much a pause matters. Look how long I'm sitting there with it. And then finally, they grabbed it. Well, this is another really good fish. I think this was 5 pounds and the other one's 5 pounds, 2 ounces, or 5.4, whatever it was. But two absolute hammers to close the day out. I was fishing a national tournament, online tournament. I got 3rd place in, all smallmouth. The winner beat me by right about 10 inches. But I was really pleased with my performance during this tournament. I had a pretty decent bag going into this day, but I called every single fish out on this particular day. Just an absolute blast. Again, in this video, just throwing the, I think I'm throwing a shallow smoothie on this one. Yeah. Again, just bouncing it off the bottom, and just another case of as it gets back to the boat and it starts to make its climb up, they grab it. Just something about like not letting it get away that just triggers them. They'll follow it and follow it and follow it, and then eat it right at the very last minute. So again, don't give up on your casts, especially with smallmouth. You never know when they're going to. You never know when they're going to grab it. And oftentimes, especially in the spring, they'll do it right when it gets to the boat. And this guy is an absolute pig. Just wait till you see this thing. When I say a pig, I mean an absolute hammer. If I could only fish one fish for the rest of my life, it would probably be smallmouth. Look at that thing. Just an absolute tub. 5 pounds, 2 ounces, I think is what that one was. I tell you here in just a second, but I just can't remember. I think it was 5 pounds, 2 ounces, or 5 pounds, 4 ounces. So, I hope you guys learned something today. This podcast will evolve as time goes on, but I will rely on kind of you to tell me the direction, right? So, tell me what you like about it. Tell me what you don't like about it, or what you'd like to see in the future. If there's a technique or something you want me to cover in a future episode, leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you would, please. I would really love to make a run at this and try to get a little bit more success out of this channel. It's going to take me being consistent. It's going to take you guys helping, share it, like it, comment, do all the YouTubey things. And so we'll leave you with a little bonus catch. On this one, it is it didn't keep the file. I guess I'm not going to show you. Maybe we'll show you later on. For some reason it didn't keep the file, but I bumped into a carp with the shallow smoothie and boated it. It was like 16 pounds and some change. We'll include it in one of our future ones, so not that big of a deal. Also, this channel largely will be successful with the partners that come on board. So if you want to sponsor an episode, if you want tackle reviewed or any kind of sporting goods type of stuff reviewed and featured on the channel, my email is attached. Just shoot me an email. I'd love to talk to you and see if we can't work something out. I'm not interested in buying a bunch of stuff and getting reimbursed and all of that. There's a lot of that out there. But if you want an honest, good review, or you want to sponsor a video, let me know. I'd love to bring on some partners for future episodes. We'll put your logo either there, or maybe here, and get you some exposure. If it's a product I believe in, if it's a product I use, that I know, that I love, I'd love to talk to you. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you down the road. Tight lines. We'll see you.